Once again, now, Section 34, subsection 1B and 1C of the law, the NYSC law, says that no person shall be held in slavery or servitude. And C says no person shall be required to perform forced or compulsory labor. The NYSC Act of 1999, Section 2 says all graduates from universities in Nigeria, universities outside Nigeria, with a high national diploma and national certificate of education are under obligation to make themselves available for service for a continuous period of 1 year from the date specified in the call-up instrument served upon him. Now, these are some of the matters arising and a bone of contention, especially with issues like owing its members. We're joined this morning by Dr. Charles Oludare Marindoti, who's a public affairs analyst. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Sarage, for having me.
All right. Now, let's start with the question. The whole idea concerning the NYSC, fostering unity and integration and whatnot, that probably was, was sweet to hear in 1994 or 1990. Do we still think that NYSC is serving its purpose?
Thanks for that question. The purpose of the NYSC has long been, invalidated since even inception. When you think about it, the essence was that they wanted to bring Nigerians together after the Civil War, right? But if you think the problem with Nigerians was traveling to other places, then why is Japa a problem in Nigeria? Do you understand? Nigerians don't have a problem going to other parts of the country. There was a bit of insecurity after the Civil War, and then people moved back to their shell. And instead of the government to try to do what it would take to ensure security in those areas, they tried to just force people out there and let them go, take out their loss. In my own personal opinion, I have a lot of family members who almost lost their lives because they were posted into, unsecure places. We have Nigerians right now who are living in Ghana. So why do Nigerians want to live with the Mende people but not the Kanuri people? It's a lot of these things is about, security. And if we want to actually even better understand this whole NYSC thing, we need to go back to the history and see the other places that have a form of it and how it was used. I know that this kind of a thing does not make a lot of sense in most cases. It started with the Gadda group in Israel because at the time after Israel became an independent, became a state, they were surrounded by enemies who wanted to wipe them out of existence. So they had to find a way to mobilize their youth to come together to defend their country. And that was where the first country to copy that was Uganda after that. And that was used by a majority ethnic group to hoist violence on the other ones. And then when South Africa tried to institute something like that in 1967, what was used was, it was exclusive to just white men, and it was used to enforce apartheid. So when Nigeria now copied it a few years after in 1973, it was very flawed, and it is also highly discriminatory. So we are just taking graduates of universities and not other people. Now, university graduates make up a minority in the country. So how are you trying to unite a country by posting out a minority of the people to other places? It makes a lot, there's a lot of flaw in the law in terms of both the implementation and the purpose. The purpose of this law has been long defeated. The NYSC tries to, take 1 year of service as a precondition for a lifetime of service. Osarage, you're right there working, as a journalist. Are they trying to say that you are doing this service to your country? No, you are doing a service to your country. Everybody in civil service is doing a service to their country. So why should you exclude them because you want them to just do 1 year of essentially servitude? Because when you force people, the definition of servitude is involuntary service. And what your country is telling you, what Nigeria is telling us, that is that we have to compulsorily go and do this thing. And it does, I don't think that is right, because compelling people to service has to be voluntary. Any involuntary service is servitude, and that is a violation of our constitutional right.
Okay,
in essence.
So I think my next question would be, the way out. Are we scrapping it, or is it a revamp? Now, the NYSC, of course, it's not called NYSC, like you mentioned. It's not just peculiar to Nigeria. We've seen it in other countries. Some would argue that it dates back to a speech many years ago that was, given in Stanford University. But we've seen it happen, we've seen it in different measures. I think in France they call it civic service. We've seen it in Mexico, they call it servicio social. They just have different criteria and different methods by which they use there. So are you saying that what we have right now is nothing to write home about? It's a fundamental breach of human rights and should be scrapped? I beg your pardon. Or is there a way that we can maybe repurpose it and review policies that would ensure that we can maximize the program?
I think it definitely can be reviewed as opposed to being outrightly scrapped. Now, when you think about the old examples that you gave in other countries, it is not exclusive to just university graduates. If you are trying to unify Nigeria by posting just a few university graduates, what about the people who never went to university? So now, the real reality of Nigeria is that a secondary school graduate can become the president, get a civil service job, get jobs all across, but a university graduate, once you commit that crime of going to university, then you have to go and serve before you can actually go into service and have a life for yourself. I don't think you know this, but the section 13 of that particular act actually says that if you do not report at your posting, that you can go to jail for 1 year. It is in that law. So the answer to your question is that it definitely can be modified. It first off has to be voluntary. It does not make any sense for you to say, I cannot say you are doing service for me if I say if you don't get this thing for me, then I'm going to punish you for it. That is not service. I am imposing a will on you. And it can be so much reformed in such a way that it includes all Nigerians, especially the people who don't even have the privileges to go to university. They can see that as an avenue to go and learn a trade for maybe free or extremely cheap, and then they can do some service in terms of like country development and all. It can be opened up for people, but it has to be voluntary. I think it is only in Nigeria where it is compelled and there is a punishment, including a possibility of incarceration for a period of a year just for failing to serve. So how in any form of morality is that justified? That is highly immoral. You are taking the most important population of your country, the youth, and you are wasting their years. Time is money. You are actually also hurting your country because you are depriving them of the economic participation that they should have, been able to do. You are exploiting their labor. We talk about Nigeria and Jackpot is a thing. We want to convert brain drain to brain gain, but you have to first go and serve. So if we have Nigerians who are raising Nigerian generations in Italy, all over the world, in the United States, if they want to come and do a service for us, they first have to go and serve. I mean, one of the most repugnant, the most annoying one was what happened to the former Minister of Health, Kemi Adeosun, who was so unjustly, I would say humiliated because of this same travesty. Maybe Nigeria would have actually been protected from the economic quagmire that we are right now had she been allowed to serve. Right now we have, a very terrible situation in our hand because we have excluded some of our best people just because of our need to exploit, to take undue advantage of the young people in the most important period of their lives. So these are the things that we need to really rethink. As at the time when it was passed by a decree by General Gowon, maybe he thought it was going to work. But when you start a program, you should give it an evaluation. If you look at it right now, the key performance indicators of this program shows that it is faulty, it is flawed, it has not achieved its aim. So it is a damn nuisance that should at least be, modified or.
All right. Now let's quickly talk about the owing. We've run out of time. In 1 minute, can you share with us if there is a way out of the frequent owing? Now that, with what we have, let's try to work with what we have. Is there a way out of this frequent owing of allowances?
That's the part of the problem because it is an undue burden on the government's purse too. They don't even mobilize everybody at the same time because they don't have the funds. It is a waste of money. You are depriving them good income and yet you are still not able to pay them. So a lot of them are just broke and dejected and all. There is no way out of it other than to make it voluntary. So when you make it voluntary, only a few people will come into it and then they'll be able to actually acquire some skills or something like that. So that is my own opinion. That's my own thinking about it. There is no need for this whole thing to be continued because there is actually you can't even pay regular workers. So you now where do you want to find the money to be paying out to, you know, giving handouts to NYSC students or whatever staff.
And therein might be the end of Alawi as we popularly know it. Thank you so much for your time with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right.